please pray with me. May these words that I speak be grounded in my soul, encouraged by the God presence in me. And may these words that you hear be captured by your soul, enlivened by the God presence in you. Amen. You may or may not have noticed this morning in the story I told the children that there was no mention of a John the Baptist who wore dirty camel hair clothing and ate locusts with wild honey. This is because I have come to a place where I find it quite frustrating to see John portrayed every year as a wild, reckless, loud-mouthed, and harshly critical of people, and usually on Peace Sunday. How did we end up with a John that in many ways is the antithesis of Jesus? How did this happen, given that John had a very large following both before and after Jesus? How, given that Jesus became a follower of John? How, given that Jesus didn't even begin his own ministry until after John was imprisoned? It seems to me that it is a classic case of literary bias. John was made less than as Jesus became more than. Personally, and like a growing number of biblical scholars, I believe that John was instead motivated by love. I would also suggest that John was peace-filled. It is likely that both Luke and Matthew, who created the birth and childhood stories that rooted Jesus in the lineage of kings, needed to distance Jesus from John by making him less than good leadership material. But this way of portraying John just doesn't make any sense. However we may choose to understand the nature and character of Jesus, there is no doubt that he spent a significant amount of time with John, resulting in Jesus continuing the mission of metanoia, of changing minds and hearts, of changing lives that John began. I find it difficult to imagine Jesus being attracted to and baptized by someone who was angry and overtly hostile and critical. Rather, I suspect that John became a leader after his own personal transformation to being love-filled and compassionate, and in his own metanoia, his own change of heart and mind, he found the peace that he was yearning for. This way of peace would become a defining characteristic of Jesus. Being the light of peace is the only way that anyone, anywhere, can bring peace to the world. Peace begins within me and within each of you. So what does this peace within each of us look like, and how do we cultivate it? I want to share a little of my personal struggle with being the light of peace. And it came to me Friday night at the curling rink. I have been trying to figure out why I am so passionate about curling. I am now in my 5th year, and I still miss more shots than I make, and lose more games than I win. Curling is very, very hard on my ego. And that is exactly why I need to be doing it. The truth is that when my ego and my brain are in control, I become angry, critical, self-defeating, and sullen, to name a few unsavory characteristics. My teammates could name many more, and they're all here in this room. Like the John described in Matthew's gospel, I want to shout, "You brood of vipers!" But when I let my ego and my head, set my ego and my head aside and play from my heart, when I can set my ego and head aside and respond to my teammates and my opponents from my heart, then I find a peace that comes. These moments, I must confess, are few and fleeting. But it tells me clearly that this is my work. This is my work. And this is not about becoming dispassionate about the game or the shots. There is an exuberant elation that comes with making one. I've had that experience a couple of times. But it is about being at peace even when the game is not going well. This is the key to being light, being the light of peace. It is opening to our deeper self, our heart center, our God center, and allowing that spirit to shine by loving myself in the moment that I miss, by loving my teammates in the moments that they miss, and to love the team we're playing in the moments they don't miss. It is in the loving that peace dwells. It is in the loving that peace becomes experienced by others. It is in the loving that peace permeates all of creation. Jesus would become known as the Prince of Peace because he was experienced as love-led and peace-filled. Not because he carried a placard saying, "Give peace a chance." Jesus demonstrated the kind of leader Isaiah imagined, that did not force peace on others by fear and might and the sword, but by living compassionately in the world, in every moment. Oh, what Jesus could teach me if he were on my curling team.
He could be a lousy sweeper, you know.
I suspect he would probably skip. No sweeping involved. John did prepare the way, but not by being the antithesis of Jesus. Rather, John prepared the way by being the light of peace himself. He already started to lay the groundwork. There is no point in any of us to simply wish for peace to come to our world. John and Jesus show us clearly that the way to peace begins within us. Like my experience of curling, we all have experiences in our lives that bring anger, frustration, criticism, and a myriad of other illnesses. Advent calls us to pay attention to our heart in those moments, to let our heart calm our ego-driven minds and simply love. Love ourselves, love each other, and love the world. And love the game. Then we will find ourselves truly being the light of peace.